Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy TRUEDBZMaster back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing part 3 of my Krillin guide series. So today I'm going to be going over Krillin's pressure, mix-ups, and Oki. So I have a lot to get through, so let's not waste any time because these videos are already long enough as it is. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Krillin's Blockstrings. So let's get into it. So going into Krillin's Blockstrings, this one is going to be really simple to explain because there's really only one Blockstring that you really want to learn, and it's just that you just want to vary up on what you do in that Blockstring. So basically, this is your basic Krillin Blockstring. So all of this is one big true string. So everything you do here all jails into itself, so your opponent cannot reflect this. So basically, the thing I want to make preface at this move right here. Solar Flare is your king special move into a lot of options that you can do. So basically, you can do any normal into Solar Flare for your Blockstring, for example. So basically, Krillin's main Blockstring is you do buttons into Solar Flare. Now when it comes to other special moves like Krillin's 2S, like his after image, that is more of the mix-ups, like in the mix-up part of this guide. But for pure Blockstrings, just to keep you safe and do pressure, any button into Solar Flare is going to give you that really tight Blockstring into assist, which easily sets up, you know, high-low stuff. So that's basically your go-to. So if you're wanting to learn pressure, just do button, 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 Solar Flare. All of it jails, and you're pretty much good. Also, this is a little bit gimmicky, but since Krillin actually moves the opponent while doing his Blockstrings, as you can see, the opponent is a lot further than where he started. So if Krillin's literally right in my face, do this Blockstring, look how far Krillin is away from me now. So this gives an interesting property to where Krillin can actually avoid a lot of 5Ls, because Krillin's Solar Flare is -2, as you can see. So Krillin is a lot more advantageous if a character like, like Bardock or Kefla do their special move and they're -5. So Krillin has a lot more frame advantage. Even though he's still negative, he still has more frame advantage than those other characters. And since it's spaced out, that means you can actually press 5M afterwards, since it moves really far and is his fastest long ranging normal into some sort of a frame trap, if you will. It's very, very gimmicky, but it's really, really good. So for these 3 examples, I'm going to use Krillin, who has a small jab. I'm going to use Vegito, who has a slow but big jab. And then UI Goku is practically the same thing, but his hitbox is a lot bigger than the character itself. So we'll see how Krillin does with it. So as you can see from those examples, Krillin can actually do some gimmicky type pressure. For the long ranger characters, you want to use 5H Ki Blast, because it makes you so much farther than your opponent. But for characters with small normals like Krillin, you can pretty much go into anything, into 5H, and then it'll frame trap. But I don't want you to rely on this, because this is more so of a knowledge check than anything. If your opponent knows how to, jump out of the way, or if they have big normals, like Vegito or Gogeta, it's going to be a real threat. So I would only use it if you're trying to knowledge check your opponent. Do it once or twice, see how they react, and then, save it in your back pocket for when you really, really need it. So, yeah. Let's go into Anti-Reflex next. So like I already talked about in the normals guide, I already showed you how Krillin anti-reflex. So Krillin anti-reflex with 2L 5M, or 2L 5M like that. You can also do 2L 5H. You can also do 5L 5H, as you can see. So pretty much anything in the 5H anti-reflex, but 2L pretty much you can only do 2M. If you try to do 5L, it won't reach, as you can see. So for 5M, if you want that medium starter, you want to use 2L. But if you're not sure, just always go into 5H because it'll always work. And like I said in the previous guide, the normals one, you can actually double reflect with Krillin if you do 2L, 5M, and 5H. So like this is a double reflect. And also keep in mind that you have to delay some of the normals. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you want me to go more in depth, please watch my normals guide. But just for the sake of pressure and the pressure guide, I just want to tell you what Krillin's anti-reflects are. So use them if you think your opponent's going to reflect, or use it as a knowledge check. Just use it. It's really good. Alright, now we're going into staggers. So I already talked about this in my normals guide again, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth here because I'm going to talk about 2 more stagger strings that you want to learn about. So in my normals guide, I talked about 5L, 4L, which is this guy right here. So as you can see, Krillin is made to jab on the first frame he can. So, Krillin can do 4L and get, jab, which is backlight. So you can do 2 jabs back to back. If you do just LL normally, you get this, but if you hold back, you get this. So this is really good for actually setting up tick throw or tick DR. As you know, you can cancel your 5L into Dragon Rush. So what you can do is do this, right? Something like that. Now Krillin's not going to get hit by it because he's mashing, but this is more of a knowledge check. You do 4L, DR, or you can do 4L, DR, right? Just keep it on nose. And since you're using your 4L, that keeps your mediums, your heavies, your special moves, all on the table, instead of like, you do your block string and then you stagger your medium buttons. Well, now you can't really do that much, right? Because now all you got is heavy and special moves, right? So staggering with lights is really good, especially since all of Krillin's lights are safe on block. So you can really test your opponent with it. So, 5L, 4L, as you can see, is really good. Stagger I'm going to talk about is Krillin's 2L into 2L, which I also talked about in the normals guide. So as you can see, you can press 2L into 2L without dashing up. Now some characters can do this as well, but they have to dash up in order to do it. Krillin does not need to do it because Krillin's jab is big enough to where that doesn't really matter, especially if you're on top of your opponent like this. So use it. They're both lows, so if they try to fuzzy jump it, you'll hit them with it, and it's really good. What I'm going to talk about is Krillin's 2M into 5M. So as you can see, I staggered my 5M after 2M just to see if Krillin got hit. Now you can also do this with 2M. So if you do, get that easy confirm. So you want to really stress on using your medium buttons as stagger tools as well, because if you stagger your mediums and they get hit, that means somebody's gonna die because Krillin does a lot of damage. So when you're staggering your your lights, make sure you stagger some of your mediums as well, because at least into big damage and the corner carry, and then you get the kill. And the last stagger I'm going to talk about that's really important is 5M into 5H. So if you do something like this, as you can see, easy confirm, sets up Krillin's rejumps, and you get the second best scaling. I'm pretty sure heavy isn't the same thing as medium scaling, but you still get a lot from it. So you can stagger any of your buttons into heavy, as you can see here. So make sure you stagger your heavy button whenever you can, if you think your opponent's going to do something. Alright guys, this one is going to be more on the gimmicky side. I'm going to talk about J2S and how you can use it for left-right mix-ups. So I was going to put this in my mix-up part of the video, but I figured this one is so gimmicky that it can pretty much go right in the middle between pressure and mix-ups, because this isn't real mix, but just like with the anti-reflex and the 5M after solar flare, this is more of a knowledge check more than anything. Now the thing I want to tell you right now is that this option is only really good if the opponent doesn't know about it. if your opponent knows about it, then there's a really heavy counter, which is super dash. You can super dash this most of the time on reaction. You know, it is 16-15 frames depending on how you do it, so you can mix up your opponent. You know, if you do something like this for same side, IID for cross up, but it is still a key blast. So if your opponent is reflecting or super dashing at you, you really don't want to use this option, but it is good for a knowledge check. Okay, going on to the mix-up part of this guide. So now I'm going to talk about different ways and different setups to get the hit on your opponent. These may not be official 50-50s, but these are ways to actually get the hit. And if your opponent doesn't know how to deal with them, you can pretty much, you know, do these back to back and feel like you have a real presence. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Solar Flare. So this guy right here, I already talked about, as you can put this in a block string and have it be true. But the thing is that if you have a certain assist that gives a lot of pushback, you can actually do an instant air dash overhead. So as you can see from this example, so as you can see from those examples, using characters like Super Saiyan Goku and Yamcha, whose assist gives a lot of block stun, as well as giving a lot of pushback, it allows Krillin to have the perfect distance to do an IID button for an overhead. Now you can also do this in conjunction with run up to L for a low option. So as you can see there, both options are available to you when doing this block string. So if you have enough block stun with your assist, it creates a true string, so your opponent cannot mash or reflect out of it. Now, the thing about this though is that this is very easy to set up, but it's very easy to defend against, because this isn't a real 50-50. So most of the time your opponent, when they see you jump, they will block overhead. But, you know, we'll get into other gimmicks that can actually level the playing field when it comes to that. So yeah, this is pretty much your go-to mix-up. You know, with a lot of assists in the game, creates a lot of pushback. So I would say about 70% of the assists in the game works with this setup. So no matter what character you're playing, you can pretty much always find a way to use, you know, Solar Flare in your block strings and, you know, do an easy but reactable mix-up. Alright, the next mix-up I'm going to talk about is the mix-up with Krillin's after image technique. So like I said in the specials guide, the only one I'd recommend for mix-ups is the heavy version. So the special properties of heavy version, you can look at the specials video. But just for a quick summary, the main thing about this move that makes it really good is that Krillin moves forward when doing it. So it really sets up a high-low situation that light doesn't give you, especially because when using assist, a lot of assist gives pushback, so you want to be able to dash up and do 2L immediately, or, you know, if you're going to do cross up, like I said, do 2S from, you know, left right stuff. But you know, so right here I have Nappa and Janemba. So the thing about this mix-up is, one really important thing you want to remember when doing this mix-up is that this one is really good if you're going for lows, but if you want to go and commit to the overhead, which is this guy right here, this move gives a ground bounce. So what that means is you're able to combo off of it. So basically the main priority of this move is, if you want to go for it, you have to be able to combo off of it to make it worth it. Not unless if you want to reset pressure again, which, I mean, honestly, you can do that because it gives you enough time, you know, for you to run up and basically do it again, or Solar Flare or whatever. But if you want to actually confirm off of it, you're gonna need an assist to help with that. You don't want to waste a vanish on this, not only because you don't get a sliding knockdown afterwards because it takes your smash away, but also the fact that most of the time Krillin doesn't really get anything off of sliding knockdowns. So, you know, you're gonna want to be able to end in a sliding knockdown most of the time, if possible. So I will show you a couple examples of how this can be implemented, and we'll go from there. So as you can see from those examples, using the heavy version of After Image is really good, but you have to be able to confirm off of it. Like I said, unless you want to reset pressure, which you can do because Krillin's really good at it. So like I said, you want to be able to combo off of this. The low version is pretty simple. You hold the button, you let go of the button to get the overhead, but you hold the button to go low. You can also combine this with Dragon Rush, so you can do this and then DR right afterwards. Like I said, you can do this, ID, 2S. So this move gives you a lot of variables when using it. So this is probably going to be your main way of using assist with, with actual mix-ups, because it just gives you so much. So use it, really good. Just make sure you confirm off of it, that way you can stay advantageous. Alright guys, so now I'm going into the Sensu Bean mix-up. So I talked about this in my specials video once again. Since Krillin throws a Sensu Bean in the air, it means Krillin is able to fast fall and float, given the new mechanic that they added in the second to most recent patch. So as you can see, Krillin floats a little bit there, and then while I'm holding down, he falls faster. Now this doesn't necessarily make this a 50-50 per se, but it is a really good mix-up nonetheless. So I have the opponent to reflect here, and so I'm going to be using Gotenks and Kid Buu to set up this 50-50. I'm not 100% sure if it is or not, because I don't know the real qualifications for a 50-50, but I mean, when you see the examples, you'll see why this is really strong. So as you can see from those examples, Krillin is able to get a high-low from the Sensu Bean call because Krillin recovers while in the air for the overhead. As you can see, his normal can come out really fast, and then you just fast fall and then into a 2L for the low. So I don't know if this considered a actual 50-50, but nonetheless it's a really strong option. The only characters I'm able to do this with is Gotenks and Kid Buu at the current moment. So I don't know if characters like Bardock with his B assist or base Goku with his A assist allows him to do this mix up in the corner. But yeah, I've managed to do it with Gotenks and Kid Buu. So if you play those characters, use this mix up. It's really, really strong. Okay, the next mix up I'm going to be talking about is the mix up with 2S. So like I talked about in my Ki Blast and Normals video, 2S allows you to do some certain mix-ups. So just like with the Sensu Bean mix-up I talked about, 2S gives Krillin the ability to float and fast fall. As you can see, if I hold up, Krillin floats for a second, and if I hold down, Krillin falls faster. So, using this in conjunction with high block stun assist, just like with the Sensu Bean mix-up, you can actually do a 4-way mix-up. Now, the whole 4-way is a little bit difficult, so I'd recommend just using left to right. So I'm going to show you some examples with Jiren and Kid Buu, who is the most consistent characters I'm able to do it with. So let's show it off. Alright, so this mix-up is really strong. Like I said, it requires a lot of block stun, which is why I had Jiren and Kid Buu, because they're the most consistent I got with this mix-up. So as you can see, I went 4 ways. I went overhead low and then cross up overhead and low. So the difficulty of this mix-up varies per character. With Kid Buu is pretty easy if you're doing the cross-up options. The same side options are a little bit harder to do, but with practice you can get it. So you know, characters like Gotenks, I believe Base Goku can do this as well. Kid Buu, obviously, Jiren, obviously, and I think that's about it. I don't think Bardock B can do this mix-up, but I mean, you can experiment with it. But Kid Buu and Jiren are the most consistent characters I've been able to do with it. So if you have these characters on your team, use it. It's really, really good. Okay, that's gonna be the end for the mix-up section. I know this one was kind of short, but I mean, those 3 options, Solar Flare, After Image, and 2S, are really the only ones you're gonna really need in the game, to be honest. The Senzu Bean one is a little bit on the gimmicky side, and it's only really viable in the corner, so do with that what you will. But, you know, like I said, the heavy version of After Image is pretty much going to be your go-to mix-up for all teams. Though with specific teams, like with Jiren, Kid Buu, Gotenks, you want to use 2S and Senzu Bean when you can, because those are really good. So overall, I think Krillin's mix-up game is actually pretty strong. Is it like Gogeta, you know, UI Goku, or Gogeta 4's mix-up level? Maybe not that strong, but I mean, it's still pretty good. So, I give a big thumbs up for mix-ups. And the last section we're going to be going over is Oki. So, right off the bat, we're going to talk about Solar Flare again. like I said in the specials video, Solar Flare is really important to Krillin's game plan. So, I think I already talked about this when talking about Solar Flare, but this move is really big. So that means Krillin is able to chase after tech options when doing Oki. So I'm going to show off some examples with Vegito, A, and Baby B, how to beat up tech. So let's do it. So as you can saw from those examples, Baby B and Vegito cover the up tech area, as well as Solar Flare being able to melee the opponent, meaning I can combo off of it. Now what about mashing and down tech? Well, you can actually melee mashing. So I'll show you once again examples of me meleeing with Solar Flare. So as you can see, not only does Solar Flare beat up tech, but it also melees mashing. But what about down tech? Because a lot of players will down tech and mash. So this has an interesting property. Since you're Solar Flaring on the opponent's wake up, meaning you're doing it before or right before the opponent wakes up, the opponent will actually whiff the Solar Flare, meaning they will get hit by it. But this has an interesting property because since you're calling your assist, it will either protect you from the incoming attack, or it'll straight up hit them for trying to press buttons in the first place. So these examples will show you how melee down tech works. So like I said before, Solar Flare is a really important tool. As I've shown, it beats up tech, it counters mashing, and you can also beat delay mashing. So use this whenever you can. This situation can be used from any knockdown. You can use this after a JH ender, you can use it after a after image ender, you can do it after level 3, you can do it after level 1. You can pretty much use it in any situation where the opponent is in a disadvantaged state. So not only is Solar Flare a good neutral tool for anti-airing super dashes and special moves, but it's also a really good Oki option because it beats all the things I've shown here. So like I said, use Solar Flare plus Assist whenever you can. Just a quick little note, Reflect can beat this if the opponent reflects the assist as well as Solar Flare, so please be careful with that. But if they only reflect once, it's pretty much the exact same situation with down tech, where they'll reflect the Solar Flare, but the assist will either hit them while they try to mash out of it, or if they just block after reflecting, then they'll have to block the assist and it's still your turn. So the same situation pretty much persists when reflecting, so keep that in mind, and let's go into the next Oki option. Now let's talk about Rock Oki. So like I said in my specials video, Stone Throw can be used for Oki situations, specifically the light version. So how this thing works is that Krillin can throw his rock as soon as he lands on the ground for a meaty and up tech chase. So I'm going to show you some examples and then we're going to talk about it. So now let's talk about it. So the way this Oki setup works is that Krillin wants to end his combos with JH, which is this guy. If you try to end it with Clone, you will not have enough frame advantage. So I'm going to show you the different numbers just to show you the difference. So as you can see, Krillin is knocked down for approximately 60 to 57 frames. And then if I use Clone, he's only knocked down to 45 to 46 frames, and that makes one big of a difference since Krillin recovers a lot when throwing Stone Toss. As you can see, it takes approximately 53 to 54 frames for Krillin to recover, so you're gonna need as much time as you can get, which is why I suggest ending combos with heavy. That way you get that extra frame advantage, so you can actually, you know, chase the up tech or beat the down tech and all that stuff. So I only recommend, remember, only recommend using Stone Throw when you end a combo with this. I see so many Krillin players use Stone Toss after light after image and they get mashed out and they're like, well, why did I get hit? And it's because you didn't recover fast enough. Also keep in mind that Krillin can also do Stone Throw after EX after image. Hold on one second. So yeah, Krillin is advantageous by 60 frames. So that's plenty enough time for you to throw the rock and then still be able to meaty, chase up tech and all that stuff. But like I said before, do not use Rock Oki with light or medium after image. Please do not do it because you will get hit. And if you do it against me, I'm going to mash. So don't do it. So talking about the ways Oki helps you, Rock Oki helps you out, this move, if done correctly, will meaty mashing, will be safe from reversals, as well cover up tech. So I'm going to show each different example, and then I'm going to talk about why it's really, really good. Okay, so guys, as you saw, the Rock Toss Oki beats a lot of options. It beats DPs, or it beats safe from reversals. You know, it beats mashing, it covers up tech. You know, when throwing Rock Toss, you can really just sit there and wait for your opponent to do something. Because, you know, since it covers up tech, they can't do it. And if they do up tech and they block, then it's free pressure for you. And then if they up tech and don't block, then it's a free combo. If they down tech, you can meaty with your own normals, or you can meaty with assist, just like with Solar Flare. So Rock Toss is really, really good as an Oki tool. But remember, this is the golden rule. Only do Rock Toss when ending in a JH ender or a heavy after image. Do not do medium after image or light after image for Stone Toss. Do not do it, because you can get mashed on, or you will get mashed on, because you are still recovering. So please keep this in mind, please. Alright, the final part I'm going to be talking about is Krillin's level 3, and we have a lot to discuss. So let's just get into it. So, as you know, Krillin's level 3 is the Scattering Energy Wave, and it gives you 42 frames of Oki. So as you can see here, 42 full screen. So this on its own isn't really that good. What you can do if you're in this situation is that you can banish like Vegito, and then you can do the 2S setup that I talked about before. So as you can see here, you know, something like that, you know, cross up, you know, 2S or same side 2S. Once again, the same problem persists. If the opponent knows you're going to do this, then they can super dash or reflect you for a punish. Krillin doesn't have any really big air buttons, you know, like Vegito does, so take this with a grain of salt. You know, like I said, this one is very gimmicky, and it only works on people that don't know how to deal with it. So I would really recommend this as an Oki option. Now what you can do is actually use Solar Flare. Once again, Solar Flare is a really important technique. You know, use it whenever you can. So, interesting enough, Krillin can actually get better advantage while using Solar Flare. So, from this example, so as you can see, when doing a Vanish combo, ending in Solar Flare into level 3 gives you 2 more frames of Oki, and then as well lands the opponent much quicker, or much closer to Krillin than before. So it's not immediately full screen, meaning you can actually run up and safe jump. And since the new version of the game allows you to super jump while holding Ki Blast. As you can see, I'm holding the super dash button, and it's giving me a super jump. And so when I'm having super jump, I can have fastball and then ID float. So this means you can actually go for a real mix-up with this assist, as you can see from this example. So as you can see from all those different types of examples, Krillin is able to get some really good Oki options when using Solar Flare into his level 3. You can also do this in regular combos. I'll show you one example instead of doing the whole thing again, but I'll just do one example just to show you can do it in actual real combos and have it be optimal, so you don't have to use Vanish to do this. So let me show you guys real quick. So as you saw from that example, you can actually do real combos without using Vanish to get the same Oki situation. I think the best way to do it is from Vanish, but if you want to get the same Oki, you can do it in regular combos. So I'd say this is probably like the least valuable way to get mix-ups like this. It's definitely more consistent because Krillin is on the screen, so you're gonna have more opportunities to do this. But the next few options are a lot easier to do and a little bit more optimal. So let's just get into the other options. Alright, now I'm going to talk about Krillin's level 3 in the corner. So once again, the level 3 is 42 frames on hit. So we'll see. As you can see, Krillin's going to get up in 42 frames. So this gives you enough time to actually meaty with a safe jump or just with a regular button in general. So I'm going to show you two different ways of doing it. I'm going to do the instant air dash way, and then I'm going to do the hold forward while jumping way, which is what I do all the time. So I'll show you both. So as you can see in both options, Krillin was set to hit jab, which is his fastest normal at 6 frames, and both times I was able to meaty. So the IAD is what most people use, you know, since it's very common to instant air dash in pressure situations. But what I like about this one is called, well, this really doesn't have a name, but this is 9 on numpad notation, which is basically jumping forward and pressing medium as you're falling. So as you guys saw from the example, after level 3, if you looked at my inputs on the side of the screen, you saw me hold forward and jumping. So if I hold the button, Krillin will jump on the very first frame he can after level 3, meaning you get the most advantage out of it. And then to time the medium button, I usually wait for my character to show up on screen when I press it. Now you can do this preemptively just to be sure, but I like to do it as soon as I see Krillin. Once I see Krillin come out of the smoke, then I press the button. So this one's really good. It meaties. It is also a safe jump, meaning you cannot be punished with level 3s or DPs if you time it correctly. So this is Krillin's this is the Oki I use for in the corner, so let me go into another setup right now. Alright, so the next setup I'm going to talk about is one that I already talked about before with Super Saiyan Vegeta. So Gotenks, as well as other characters in the game, can give Krillin the air level 3 Oki. Like I said in my Supers guide, Krillin's level 3 has two parts, the beam and then the smoke screen. So I'm going to show you what Gotenks can do, and then I'll show you how this level 3 works and how to make use out of it. So as you can see, Gotenks gave Krillin 94 frames of Oki, which basically means Krillin can do whatever mix-up, you know, anything that he wants to do. So you can do left, right, high, low, DR, clone, sky's the limit basically. So I'm going to show you a few examples. I'm not going to show you every example, you know, Krillin can do, but I'll show you a couple things just to get you started. So as you saw from those examples, those are just small little tidbits and little situations you can create. That's not all the options Krillin can do, but I mean 93, 94 amounts of, you know, Oki pressure. I mean, you can do whatever you want, dude. The sky's the limit when it comes to that. There is one more thing I want to talk about, and we'll get into that right now. So just like with Gotenks and his air level 3 Oki, characters like Beerus, Roshi, and I believe Teen Gohan, Teen Gohan, can actually stall the level 3, like I said, since it's in 2 parts. So I'm going to show you an example and then we'll talk about why it's good. So as you can see, this is pretty much the exact same setup for Krillin's Solar Flare mix-up. 44 frames, and it's a lot closer than full screen. So like I said, characters like Beerus, Roshi, and Teen Gohan can give Krillin this type of Oki. Beerus can as well give Krillin the level 3 Oki in the air. So as you can see, Beerus is a really good synergy character for Krillin because it gives him both the ground and level 3 2-parter Oki. So Beerus is a really good partner for Krillin when it comes to setting up his level 3. And finally, this is going to be it for the guide. So thank you guys so much for watching. Overall, I think Krillin's Oki and the pressure potential is pretty much one of the best in the game, if not maybe in the middle of the pack. Because Krillin does need a lot of resources. As you guys may saw, EX, clone requires meter. The level 3 Okis requires Vanish or an assist character for a DHC, so that's 4 bars right there. So Krillin is really meter heavy when it comes to his optimal mix-ups, but honestly, for the amount of damage Krillin does and the meter gain he builds, I think that's completely fair, because Krillin can build 2 bars per combo, as well as do over 4k per combo. So Krillin is not lacking in damage or meter gain, so using meter to gain the advantage is a good way of nerfing the character or keeping him well balanced, because if he had this type of mix-ups without using meter, I don't know, Krillin might be a top tier character at that point. But Krillin does require meter to do these types of mix-ups, so please do keep that in mind. But overall, I think he's really solid. From the Senzu Bean to the Stone Throw for Oki to his level 3 to his Solar Flare. Like, he has a lot of options. So please be sure to vary your options, because if you auto mode it, then your opponent will be able to read you. But since Krillin has a lot of options, taking the most safest route, which is Solar Flare, might not be a bad idea. But all in all, I think Krillin's mix-up, pressure, and Oki are really good in this game. Back then when he first came out, he didn't really have any of this stuff, but now he does, so I'm very glad. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Krillin info in the future. So this was today's episode. The next episode, I'm going to be doing a combo guide with, beginner friendly combos to advanced combos to special tag combos. So please be sure to watch the video and support the channel. And if you like this video, well then, like I said, hit that like button. Please tell me if you want to learn more things about Krillin. If there's anything I left out, please leave it in the comment section down below. And as well, ask me anything else, what else characters you want to learn about. Do you want to learn about Bardock? Do you want to learn about Vegito? Do you want to learn about Videl? I'll do character guides for them as well. But for the time being, I'm focusing on Krillin, and so if you have any Krillin related questions, please be sure to ask me in the comment section down below. I'm not going to waste your time any more than I already have, so I'll see you guys in the next character guide. Sayonara.